We now return to our top story about the progress and success of Operation Sindoor. Joining me is an eminent guest. Let me welcome Ambassador Sanjay Panda, former senior diplomat. Ambassador Panda, good evening and welcome. Now, it has been a month since the terror attack of Pahalgam. How do you see and look back at Operation Sindoor and the manner in which India is seeking to very proactively disseminate the message on Pak-sponsored terror?
You know, 30 days down the line after this horrific attack in Pahalgam, there's been a lot that has happened, especially during the last 15 days. But what is more important at this point in time, that our India's position is being now brought out to the world. Right. And today, first of all, Prime Minister made things very clear in his address at Barmer. I mean, that could be meant for the domestic audience. But at the same time, I think it's important to also know that the world is listening. And External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar, his three-nation tour, right, from Copenhagen, he has come to Netherlands. And today, his interviews with the Netherlands news media, he has touched upon all the points. So, I think there is a clarity that is emerging now. Right. What we want, our message is being sent out loud and clear.
Right. I want to talk about the all-party delegations, fanning out across the world, taking India's perspective and message forward. How do you see the significance of the manner in which they are engaging with a cross-section of leadership across the world?
See, the message that has come out, for instance, UAE, yes, the interaction with UAE, is very encouraging. UAE, first of all, we have to understand that it was the first, among the first countries, yes, which had sent us the message of condolence and says that terrorism in any form cannot be tolerated. And it has clearly, unambiguously supported India's position today in its interaction with our delegation. So, our diplomatic outreach is paying dividends. And I have no doubt that this arrangement, what you know, the delegations which are visiting now, this face-to-face interaction will definitely help. But there is a different angle to it. That's the way they are looking at it. There's a different agenda. The Western media, right, is still not out of their mindset.
Let's come to some of the points that Prime Minister Narendra Modi mentioned in his address, reiterating the new red lines that have been drawn, from calling out Pakistan's nuclear bluff to saying that terrorists and those supporting and sponsoring terrorists will not be seen as different entities anymore.
Yes, absolutely. So that is one thing which is clarified. That's why I see now we have clarity on what we have. Operation Sindoor has not ended. It is just at this point in time, because of the ceasefire, so it is just held in abeyance. And now Prime Minister made it very clear that any discussion with Pakistan will be on POK, Pakistan occupied Kashmir, will only be on terrorism emanating from Pak soil, nothing else. And he also, without mincing any words, said no trade, no talks, no water.
There's a clear cost to terrorism that the Prime Minister is talking about. It's a new language, it's a new vocabulary.
This is the new normal. And he has enunciated in very clear terms what he means by new normal. So I think messaging is very important. And there's a very strong message which has gone out that it cannot be business as usual. And this message is also important to the world, especially to the West, which still, for some very strange reason, tries to equate Pakistan with India. It's totally uncalled for. And the way many Western media, be it New York Times, I mean, calling this terrorist militants, these are unacceptable. So this is, these are the Western double standards.
And just to explore these double standards a little more, the manner in which External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has slammed Europe for particular reasons, time and again, earlier saying that India is looking for partners and not preachers. And in the latest interview to the Dutch media, he speaks about a certain duality of security concerns and economic progress, and it seems that Europe is getting a hang of it now, and India has faced it since independence. How significant is this kind of exchange and engagement with Europe?
This is very important that we can talk to Europe now in one-to-one terms. When there was a question which was posed today, why are you hesitant to impose sanctions on Russia? Then Dr. Jayashankar's response was absolutely outstanding when he said that why do you expect India to emulate the Western style of doing things? We have our own way of doing things.
Right.
So you appreciate that, you respect that. You don't preach us, I mean, how we are going to conduct our affairs. Everything should not be seen through the prism of Western, ideals. I mean, that may not be ideal for us.
Right, and so it's not the first time that India has been proactive in speaking against terrorism on global platforms. Again, the same interview that we're talking about, the External Affairs Minister, he speaks about the manner in which the terror group that took responsibility of the Pahalgam terror attack, the Resistant Front that has links to Pakistan, India had flagged about this group with the UN Sanctions Committee.
That's right.
What is the manner in which India could do things differently? Has the international community acted sufficiently on the evidences and the cases that we've brought to them on terrorism?
Interestingly, still doubts have been raised about whether there is proof, whether there is evidence. In fact, the West, there have been many apprehensions of what India has been saying, and in fact many of them echoing the Pak narrative, which I find a little strange, for the simple reason that already there have been claims, there have been proofs which have been made available. So still, if you have doubts, or then there is something, there is a different agenda which probably we fail to see at this point.
Right, but are we then talking about like a full-blown information narrative warfare, even though the guns seem to have fallen silent for now? And if that is the case, then will India's goodwill, will India's stature in the 21st century, a globalized world, play a role in taking forward India's point of view?
Yes, India's goodwill will play a role, but there are a couple of things we could do better.
Yes.
Number one, time is of essence. When something happens, don't mull over it. Go straight, convey your message. Messaging has to be on real-time basis, number one. Secondly, our diplomatic force abroad, our embassies and consulates have to be on a they have to move on a fast track. They have to, at every given opportunity, these things have to be enunciated. There has to be media interaction, interact with universities, with academics, with think tanks. So these have to be accelerated. So
and it has to be a continuous process.
It's a continuous process. It cannot be that one terror attack happens and that is when you try to do it. But still, we have to move much faster than what we've been
And also
doing.
perhaps because our adversary also would engage in perhaps is engaging in a similar exercise, trying to put its own perspective out there in the world.
No, absolutely. There was an event in Harvard and University and Columbia University where the narrative, the Pakistani narrative was being spelled out. Very unfortunate. So we have to counter all that.
Right. So I now want to talk about two countries in particular, our engagement with them. Now, India has made it clear that the issues between India and Pakistan are of bilateral nature, that the countries can solve it among themselves. But we've seen this tendency in Pakistan to want to internationalize issues, whether Kashmir or any other matter. In the recent instance, we've also seen the manner in which they've tried to get the influence of the US and President Trump. How does India counter this sort of a tactic?
See, I'll tell you, so far as Pakistan is concerned, it's nothing new. Pakistan has always believed in internationalizing the matter. And in fact, be it the Kashmir issue, when we had the Shimla agreement which said that, okay, it's a bilateral matter. But still they have gone all along, even after the Shimla agreement, taking it to internationalizing the issue. So far as the US is concerned, the US, for some strange reason, is equating Pakistan with India and describing them as nuclear powers, two nuclear powers. I mean, it's a no-brainer that a nuclear war cannot be won. And if there is any apprehension, the apprehension is nuclear arms in the hands of a rogue country. I mean, if nuclear arms with nuclear weapons with Pakistan is of concern, because we don't know if there is any civilian control on that. And you know, our now Field Marshal Munir, I mean, what his orientation is. So I don't think it's safe. But then playing the nuclear blackmail, I think we have had enough. So Prime Minister has also said that will not fall for your blackmail. So far as US is concerned, US wants to see that is President Trump's style of functioning to say, look, I got this done. And also Russia, Ukraine, he said immediate ceasefire. So it's not taking place. So that is his style. So we should not counter that. We have a special relationship with US. We have clarified there's a bilateral matter. Ceasefire was bilaterally agreed at. So that is it. That enough. I mean, this itself clarifies. So message is conveyed.
Right.
So we need not go beyond that.
Right. And finally, sir, another country that has been in focus since the Pahalgam terror attack and Operation Sindoor is Turkey.
Absolutely.
Now, what do you make of the statement that has been given by the MEA, India's appeal to Turkey to really call out Pakistan and ask them to stop terrorism? But is that enough? What are the options that India could exercise?
See, I tell you something. Turkey, what it is doing, it's a pure strategic miscalculation on their part. Now, Turkey is basically President Erdogan. The country is quite favorably disposed towards India so far as the people are concerned. They love India. But President Erdogan has this ambition to be the leader of the Muslim world, you know, revive the Ottoman glory days and the Caliphate glory days. So that is not going to happen, but only because he has this mindset. So he is totally anything Islamic, I mean, be it Kashmir, be it Pakistan, so brotherly Pakistan is supporting. But his statements, like, you know, when terrorist dies, he says the few brothers, civilians, and describing them martyrs, that doesn't go down well. Now the people have very spontaneously, the people of India, they have taken offense, and they in fact started something like ban Turkey, boycott Turkey. But so far as India is concerned, I have been saying this, we have to have a nuanced position. We cannot have knee-jerk reaction to this. We still have bilateral relations.
Right.
So with Turkey, so the messaging which has done today, asking Turkey to see reason and you know, basically come on track, is the correct approach. Because there are a lot at stake business-wise. In the meanwhile, we have to have staggered economic strikes on Turkey, not by cancelling trade or anything, but by stopping the you know, projects, their participation in our projects, infra projects where they have their strength, you know, on grounds of security. So that is something what we can do. But if the people on their own decide not to visit Turkey, well, let me tell you, it's not going to hurt Turkey so much, because already on the tourism, the revenue doesn't really get into Turkey. You pay in euros.
But still, an important message gets conveyed with the sentiments of the people, which is important.
Correct.
On that note, Ambassador Sanjay Panda, thank you very much for joining us in the studio
Thank you so much.
and sharing your perspective.